Hello, friends! Today, we're going to talk about kind of an interesting thing. It's something I think about often as I get older, which is generally not something you want to hear. Usually when people get older, they think about things like death, but that's not what we're going to talk about. Not today, at least. Today, we're going to talk about games that you saw as a child and perhaps were very interested in or wanted to play but didn't get the opportunity for whatever reason. You know, perhaps you were a little bit more poor, like I was, and because of that I didn't have access to a lot of games I wanted to play, and it wasn't until I got much older where I could, you know, do that. Usually it was things like console restrictions. You know, I had an Xbox, I didn't have a PlayStation, so I couldn't play things, you know, that were exclusive to a console, okay? So I'm gonna start this off. Also, we're doing this because, what is it? 30-day video game challenge. Today, post a screenshot. That's not interesting to talk about. So we're not going to talk about screenshots. Grand Theft Auto 3, really? What was the age that you wanted to play it but didn't get the chance? That sounds to me like a game that your parents probably wouldn't let you play. Similarly, I had something happen to me. I didn't know what South Park was when I was like 9 years old or 10 or whatever. And I had a local video store that I would rent all my games from. We didn't have enough money to buy games, so I rented everything when I was a kid. Which is weird because I probably wouldn't have bugged them for video games had they just bought them for me. But I kept bugging them because I was renting them, and I was like, I only have this for a day. I just want the whole game. I would have left them alone, you know? So, I saw this game, and it was South Park Racing. It was a South Park kart racer for the N64, and I went up to my mom when we were at the video store and I'm like, I want this one. She's like, you can't have that one. I'm like, why not? She says, because it's bad. It's got bad stuff in it. I'm like, what do you mean? What's in it? I want to play it. It looks fun. It's got silly cartoon boys on the front. And she's like, no, you can't do it. And she wouldn't tell me why. And what's really funny about that is that the game really wasn't that bad. I mean, it didn't even like have any bad things in it. And personally, I mean, certainly I wouldn't show South Park, I guess, to like a 9-year-old, but the video game didn't have anything bad in it. And my friend down the street actually owned the other N64 South Park game, which is the like shooter one. And we played that one all the time, and I thought it was hilarious, and there was nothing bad in it. You know, because you just threw snowballs with piss on them at turkeys. Like, that's not even bad. So that was always kind of weird. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, my mom thought it was too scary. You're right, because it is kind of scary. But also, it's an amazing game. Good morning, Pteroraptorsaurus. It's a nice 12:01 p.m. in the afternoon. We're having a nice morning discussion. So I'm actually I was gonna start with another story, but I guess the South Park story is the starter story. This story is not actually one about me. It's about my friend Stefan. So Stefan, like me, you know, grew up a little bit more poor, so he didn't have access to perhaps every game that he wanted. And very similarly to me, when he got a computer, he learned he could emulate things. Now, when he was a kid, he saw an advertisement for a game called Doshin the Giant, which is for the GameCube, and he was mystified by Doshin the Giant. Now, Doshin the Giant is really weird looking. It's a game about a big, I think he's yellow. Let me pull up a picture of him. Big yellow giant, and he walks around and he wiggles his arms and he makes the ground change shape. It's very weird, very strange, very Japanese, which is understandable. It is Japanese. And he would just walk around and wiggle. And this was kind of the point of the entire game. And he didn't get to play it at all because there wasn't really any sort of way for him to play this Japanese game. Because that's... And he didn't have the money to buy it, even if he could. You know, he was very similarly to me. And when he got older and could emulate things, he emulated like everything. And he emulated Doshin the Giant. And unfortunately for him, this game is hot trash. It's really bad. You just wiggle your arms around and stuff happens, and sometimes you wiggle and stuff doesn't happen. Look at this disgusting abomination. and he was very disappointed when he got to play it, and it ended up being as shit as it was, which is kind of the catalyst for me having this particular discussion. It has nipples. That inflatable thing has nipples, and that's weird. That's very strange. Look at this disgusting creature. He's gross. He's very icky. He looks like a yum-yum. What the fuck is a yum-yum? Is that like a children's mascot? It sounds like it. I always wanted to play Mario 64 because I never had an N64. Oh no, that's sad. You know what's even more sad? When I was a kid, I owned Mario 64, but I never beat it. I never once beat Mario 64 because I was not very interested in Mario 64 when I was a kid, because that was one of the few games I did own because it came with the system when my parents bought it. I did happen to own Banjo-Kazooie, or no, Banjo-Tooie was the one I owned. I had to rent Kazooie, the first one. And I had way more fun playing Banjo-Tooie than I did playing Mario 64. So I never actually beat it when I was a kid. I didn't beat Mario 64 until I got it again on the DS, and then I beat it. And people don't like to hear that for some reason. I guess because it's such a classic game, you know? I played GTA San Andreas around a former friend's house. Years later, I bought it on PC, and if I'm honest, it's not that great. You know, that's one of the problems with this sort of phenomenon, where you have these really high expectations from usually childhood wonder, and then at the same time, you're older and things are different. You know, GTA San Andreas is a lot different when you're playing it older than if you had played it at the time. So your expectations are usually a lot higher, if only because the standards of video games are so much different. Like if you only played Skyrim and then I told you, oh, you gotta play Oblivion. Oblivion was great. At the time when I played Oblivion when I was a kid, it was great. It was new and interesting. But if you were to play it now, it's super clunky and fucking weird. Which is a problem with having these expectations as a child, and then you get older and you get to play the game. You kind of have to go in realizing that it's definitely not going to be as good as you think it is, and even if it is, it's still going to be weird. You have to adjust to it, you know? I played the game anyways. I got scared by Skull Kid, not the moon. Not the other horrors, fucking Skull Kid. Was it because his animations were really janky? That's understandable if only you were scared by his animations. If you were scared by his design, I don't know what to tell you, my guy. Because that's a little sad. Don't bully him, he's my friend. Oblivion always looked really whack to me. I always thought that Oblivion looked really good. When I was a kid, I had never seen something look as good as Oblivion. And even though the models looked really fucking janky, I was like, you know, these look really, really good for the setting. They're just supposed to look really weird. Also, I was astounded by the fact that I could, like, do these quests and talk to the NPCs. Like, that was new. That was new for me. I did not know what was going on, because I had not heard that much voice acting, like, ever in a video game. So that was astounding. That was kind of why I gave it a pass, I guess. Also, it was just cool. It was fucking cool. Fallout New Vegas scared the crap out of me until I tried again, but I was a bit older. When I actually played Oblivion, I don't remember how young I was, but I'm not this way anymore, but I used to be afraid of video games very easily. Now I have a higher tolerance. I don't get scared easily. Movies don't scare me, because as being a film student, I've kind of learned what tricks they use to make things scary in movies. So instead of seeing a horror movie and saying, oh, that's scary, I say, oh, that's a really good use of this technique. Video games, I don't have that, so they kind of still spook me today. But when I was a kid, I was spooked by everything. Okay? And Oblivion, the tutorial level scared the shit out of me, where you go through the crypts. And the only way that I could get through it when I was younger was to play music in the background that was so loud that it would drown out the music in the game and I wouldn't be able to hear anything. Because if I just muted the game, I was really scared, because then my brain would imagine what was happening and what the sounds were. But if I played music, then I could just, like, put the music in place of what my brain would put there. And the song that I would play really loud on repeat was the only song that I had on a CD that my mom made. My mom made a fucking mixtape, and half the songs were shit because I didn't like rap music. But there was one song on there that wasn't rap music, and it was it's a Hispanic song. If you have ever been around a Puerto Rican, you've probably heard it. It's called Gasolina, where they just sing about having gas, like for a vehicle. And I would play that really, really loud. And when I got out of the tutorial, the world opens up and it's like bright and colorful, and the game is fine. But it scared the shit out of me when I was young because I was a fucking idiot, which is, it's embarrassing to say, but that's what I was like. Which is really, really stupid. Tony, are you excited for the Elder Scrolls 6? God, no. I am not. I am absolutely not. Fallout 4 already lowered my expectations for any future Bethesda game. But 76, holy shit, dude. 76 is so bad that I am doubtful that the Elder Scrolls 6 will be decent. Even Skyrim has a lot of problems. It fucks up with the story and lore in such a way that makes me personally aggravated, which is upsetting. The Redeads from Ocarina of Time scared the living crap out of me as a kid. That's understandable. Those things are fucking spooky. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, Gasolina was the only song I had access to, because at that point I didn't have an iPod yet. I got an iPod maybe like a year later, so that I could actually listen to my own music. But I didn't have any way to play music, and that was really, really sad. Oh, it was the only thing I could do to not be afraid. And the funny thing is that once the world opened up, and I was able to explore it, and I went into caves later that were admittedly more scary than the tutorial, I wasn't afraid. I don't know why. I never needed to play that music ever again. It was really, really dumb. Oh, which is just so stupid. It's very, very dumb of me. Fucking Doshin the Giant. I still have Doshin the Giant up on my screen, and I can't not look away from him because he looks so fucking stupid. Even if the game was torturing you by the end, the Fallout 4 streams are some of my absolute favorites, especially the last stream. That's funny because a lot of people don't like the very last one, because I got messages where they're like, why didn't you just, like, console command fix it? But the thing is that the game was such a broken mess, it wasn't even worth the effort. It wasn't even worth the effort for me to go through and fix it. You know, that series of streams ended the only way that the game would allow it to end. And that's the upsetting thing. They could release Elder Scrolls 6 as a toaster and modders would still make it work, you know? They could. Unless they release it the same way that 76 is, in which case modders can't fix it. This has nothing to do with the particular discussion that we're talking on, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. The second that people started joking about Bethesda games being broken and modders fixing it for them was the day that they realized that they don't have to fucking work at anything. Bethesda doesn't have to try. You know, everybody gives the Gamebryo engine a lot of shit, and don't get me wrong, it's certainly dated. You know, I know they call it the creation engine this day, but come on, it's Gamebryo. We know that. It gets a lot of shit, but it's actually a really nice engine that can do a lot of really cool stuff. Okay, a lot of great stuff that's helped the Elder Scrolls series kind of give it its own flavor that it has. But fuck me, do they not know what they're doing? Because it is pathetic how modders can create amazing expansions and great stuff and just do all the things that they can do better than the employees at Bethesda. It's almost like they know they don't have to try because the modders will fix the game for them. It's almost like everybody gives it a pass because it's Bethesda. And we've been giving them a pass for, you know, quite a long time. It's almost like Todd Howard walked out on stage, you know, for a couple of his game announcements and joked about how fucking brain damaged they all are. And how they need modders' help and how funny that is. It's almost like that's kind of what they do, and everybody gives them a pass. But if any other game studio was doing this, you better believe that everyone would be shitting on them. You know, everybody was more than happy to shit on Peter Molyneux. And don't get me wrong, Peter Molyneux, I don't know, it's hard for me to call him a liar. I think he was an overly ambitious man who really had high hopes for the games that he could have created and really just wanted to do things that were genuinely out of the league of possibility for the technology at the time. I hesitate to call Peter Molyneux a liar in a lot of ways. But at the same time, at the end of the day, he kind of is a liar. Everybody shits on Peter Molyneux, but nobody shits on Todd Howard. I don't know why. You know? People kind of needed to. It's funny, Tony, my mom made a soundtrack of really crappy white romance songs I had to listen to on repeat. No, my mom did that too. My mom listens to not the greatest music. Her taste in music has gotten better over the years, but during the early 2000s when I was a young kid, my mom was listening to the shittiest music. You know, she was listening to Fergie on repeat. She was listening to mixtapes that had Fergie and fucking Gasolina. Gasolina's a good song, but when you have to hear it every day 20 times in a car ride, it's not a good song anymore. I wanted to play Minecraft because of conditioning from Minecraft YouTubers. I got it and realized, huh, maybe this isn't that good. That's really funny that you say that. You know, every now and again, I remember that Minecraft is a game that exists, and I think to myself, maybe it would be good to play. And then I remember it's not. Because Minecraft was ruined for me midway through its production, like while I was still actively playing it. As soon as they added food and stamina, the whole fucking game was ruined for me. Absolutely ruined. It's really, really sad to think about. Since Bethesda messed up, do you have thoughts on Obsidian's other Outer Worlds? I'm gonna be honest, Obsidian does pretty good work, okay? They make good games, but they make their games best when they are working with somebody else's source material, right? Like their Fallout New Vegases are better than their Pillars of Eternity, if I'm being perfectly honest, okay? Just play Divinity 2 if you want a, you know, better game than Pillars of Eternity. Part of me is a little worried because they're making this brand new world, it's a new IP, they're not using somebody else's, and that's a little weird. But at the same time, if they're just gonna make space Fallout New Vegas, then, you know, good on them. I'm sure that they can do it. I'm sure the game will be, at the very least, passable. Do I think it's gonna be this amazing game that's gonna shit all over Bethesda? That really depends on a few things, you know, beyond whether or not Outer Worlds is a good game. Because if Outer Worlds comes out around the same time as The Elder Scrolls 6, and The Elder Scrolls 6 is bad, but Outer Worlds is passable, everyone's going to say how Outer Worlds is the best game ever made because it's better than an Elder Scrolls game. But if The Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's good, and Outer Worlds is just passable, nobody's gonna talk about it ever again. It's really up to a lot more than just if the game is good, which is kind of interesting. I guess it depends on when it comes out, how it is, I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up, but at the same time, it looks pretty interesting from what I've seen. I can't seem to remember any games I weren't allowed to play as a kid. The gritty shooters and open world games during the 6th generation really didn't interest me as much as they do now. I don't know, I was restricted. My parents wouldn't let me play a lot of games. I wasn't allowed to play any, you know, edgy, hardcore games until I got into middle school. So as a kid, I really wanted to play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because my cousin Anthony, who's the same age as me, he's like a year younger, I literally went to my mom and I was like, yeah, well, Uncle Fernando lets Anthony play Grand Theft Auto and he's beating up hookers, why can't I? And my mom's like, you can't do that because I said so. And I'm like, it's not an argument. And she's like, yes it is because I'm your mom. And I'm like, you know, because I don't have any money, what am I going to do? I don't have any fucking money, and I'm not old enough to buy the game by myself, because at that point they'd card you, you know. You had to have a parent if you wanted to buy something from GameStop, because it was the only place I could buy games, because at that point fucking rental stores weren't a thing anymore. You know, mom and pop shops where you could just buy whatever game you want regardless of what age you are. You can't do that anymore. You gotta go to GameStop, and they're not gonna sell you a game if you're like 12. You think they're gonna sell you Grand Theft Auto? They're not. They're not, because they got in trouble a few times for doing that. I was allowed to play Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 as a kid. Dude, that game was lit. I fucking loved that game. And then they made another one for the Xbox 360 and it was dog shit. The only great thing about Skyrim was the dragon designs were top tier. Skyrim had a lot of really good things going for it, but it also had a lot of really stupid things. The dragon designs were very good, though. To be honest, I think the dragon fights in Skyrim are so disruptive and annoying because they can happen anywhere in the outside overworld that I usually just don't activate that quest, you know, that turns the dragons on, because I just don't want to have to deal with them when I'm wandering around. I don't know, I guess I'm just so used to the Oblivion meandering about and not having to deal with, like, disruptive dragon shit that I just don't want to have to deal with it in Skyrim, despite that being half the fucking game. A game I wanted to play as a child was Parasite Eve. However, we had the game since my mom used to play the PS2, play on PS2, but I was too scared to play it because I saw the rat scene and it scared the shit out of me. I don't know what that game is. Did a parasite come out of a rat? That sounds like it'd be pretty spooky for a kid, to be honest. You know what game I always wanted to play, but I still haven't? I wanted to play this game, Whiplash. If you guys have never heard of it, it was a platformer game where you played as a weasel who was attached to a rabbit by handcuffs, and you would use the rabbit to attack enemies. You just smash him into things and like fly around with him, and the whole object of the game was it was a big kind of open world, and the open world was a animal testing facility, and the goal was to get out of the facility. In fact, the game was so, you know, about helping animals that fucking PETA endorsed the game. And PETA doesn't endorse anything. PETA hates everything. So it was kind of funny. I always wanted to play that as a kid because I always saw it in like a little trailer. They don't do this anymore, but back in the day, video games would have trailers for other video games, like on the main menu. And when I went to the supermarket, there was a GameCube, or like a PlayStation set up there, so kids could play while their parents were shopping. And I was the only kid I ever saw using it. And I played some other game. I think it was Dog's Life, maybe. I don't know why Dog's Life would have this. It probably doesn't. I'm probably misremembering. But whatever game I played there had a trailer for Whiplash, and I really wanted to play Whiplash, and I have never played Whiplash. I've seen videos and gameplay of Whiplash, and it looks lit. But I don't know. I haven't emulated a game in a long time because I just have so many games on my backlog now that I have money. Which is kind of funny. I remember seeing Force Unleashed on PS2 at Woolworths, and my mom discouraged me from buying it because of the 16+ rating. Funny thing is that version of the game isn't even that dark. Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing, because when I was much younger, video games were kind of different. You know, like versions of Mortal Kombat on the N64 wouldn't really have blood or gore because of Nintendo's standards, but it would still have like the M rating. So my mom was always upset about things, but then the games weren't even that bad. Maybe I just have like a really low tolerance or high tolerance for things, and she had a really low tolerance. I don't know. I wanted Dead or Alive Extreme 2 when I was younger for the gameplay, of course. Okay. Funny story. I always remember that it was my mom who brought me to the game store whenever she did, because she wanted to go to the mall all the time, and that's where the game store was when I was in middle school. But I did go to the game store one time with my father before my parents got divorced. And I wanted, because I was in middle school, every fucking kid loved Family Guy when they were in middle school, when I was younger. You know, this was before everyone shit on Family Guy, okay? This was the first few seasons. I wanted to buy the Family Guy video game in the store, and I picked up the box, and I was so excited because it was like dirt cheap, and I was like, I can afford this. And I walked up to my dad, and I was like, I want this game. It looks fun. It's got Family Guy on it. And he picks up the game out of my hand, and he goes, "You're not buying this." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because it looks stupid. It's got cartoons. It's stupid. You're not buying it." And I was so sad. So I looked through the games, like, rack to find... because it was the cheapo rack. And I saw Dead or Alive. And it had titties on it. And I was, like, 12. And I was like, I don't really understand what's going on here, but I want to buy this game. I don't know why, but... something about this game looks fun. I bet the gameplay is real good. So I brought it over to him. And I'm like, I want this game instead. And he's like, that doesn't even look like a video game. Put it back. And eventually I realized why he had me put every game back. It wasn't because he actually gave a shit about my well-being. It was because he didn't want me to spend any of his money. That was one of the things that kind of contributed to the divorce of my mom and father. Was that he never wanted to spend any money on anything. Because he had this grand plan that when they got older and retired, all the money that he had saved over the years would, like, help them out later. Even though we didn't really have much money to spend anyway, we lived, you know, we still do. My mom lives paycheck to paycheck, which, you know, I do as well. But he never really understood that if we didn't spend any money at the time, everyone was going to be sad. You know, nobody's happy eating chicken nuggets every day. You know, we certainly lived paycheck to paycheck. But we had at least enough money to buy me fucking Family Guy on the goddamn GameCube. Or not GameCube, I think it was for the Xbox, I don't remember. But fuck me, I always think back on it. I always think back on it, what would have happened if I had actually bought Dead or Alive, or if I bought that fucking Peter Griffin. Peter, beater, let me borrow your egg beater game. Now that would have been bad. That would have been awful. Lois, remember the Konami code? Jesus Christ. Fucking Family Guy. You know what's funny? Is that I was one of the... I think I was the first kid in my fucking school to realize that Family Guy was shit, and I kept going around telling everybody, I'm like, guys, open your eyes, look at how bad this is. And it took most of my friends until graduation of senior year to fucking realize how bad Family Guy was. It took me, you know, all of 6th grade. I loved them for like all of 6th or 7th grade or whatever it was. It took me one school year. It took all of them half of their childhood, which is disgusting. Oh god, not only was I privy to memes when I was younger, I was the only one who understood good memes. I was the only one who understood good shit. Baby Tony, wake up, sheeple. Realize that none of this is funny, please. Please, there's way better things you could be watching. Like dubbed anime. What's funny is that I had the gall to go around and tell my friends that Family Guy was the worst thing ever, but I spent most of my time as a young adult, young teenage lad, watching dubbed icchi anime. I'm not even kidding. I was a connoisseur of dubbed anime, because despite only watching dubbed anime at the time, because I didn't want to watch Japanese, because that's stupid, I don't want to have to read. I only watched good dubs. I didn't have tolerance for poopy dubs. And I really only watched icchi anime. I only watched harem. That was the only thing I would watch. Because I was like 14 and didn't understand that the only reason I was watching this was because it made Why My Pee Pee Hard Zone Act 4 activate. Because harem anime was literally just perfect for a 14-year-old boy. And my parents, you know, at that point I had a computer, so my parents didn't really care what I was doing. I was just on my computer all the time. Watching dubbed icchi harem anime. Jesus Christ, that was my childhood. If people ever wonder what's wrong with me, that's why. Don't let your children watch harem anime, please. Don't let your children watch anime at all. Don't let them do anything. Just lock your children in rooms and just take them out when they're like 30, and they'll be set. They'll be good to go. You know, toss in like a pizza every now and again. Make them conditioned to only eat pizza. It's really the only way to raise a child these days. Family Guy's humor is very on the nose, and I hate it. I just hate most of what Family Guy is. Is that a flaming hell sperm with your logo plastered on it flying through space? It was supposed to be a comet. It gets the job done enough for me. But I guess it kind of looks like a sperm if you squint at it. The tail isn't long enough to be a sperm. But I guess it could be a flying sperm, why not? I only watched Family Guy ironically with my girlfriend. We would mute Family Guy and improv the whole episode. You know, that probably would have been way funnier than the episode itself. I believe it's pronounced Ichi... Ekchi? Oh, I see. I see. Sorry, I'm too much of a gaijin to not be able to pronounce it. It all depends on how they play around with the cast. Don't let your children play Minecraft. You know, that's a good way to put it. Because if you let your children play Minecraft, they end up just starting a Minecraft religion. That's what happened to the kids that I taught in New York. I was the Pope, by the way. They made me the Minecraft Pope because I was the teacher. I don't remember who was Minecraft Jesus. I think they argued over who was going to be Jesus. Also, can I let me just put this forward. The kid who had the Minecraft religion book was Jewish, but he had like the Christian Minecraft book, which is really, really stupid. How is my friend Dane? He's doing very well. You know, he goes to work, he gets home from work, he plays Super Smash Bros, he has a good time. His life is looking up. His family moved into a new house, which is nice. I went to visit him and I saw his new house. It's very nice, despite the fact that he lives on the top floor because it's got 2 rooms. So he has 2 rooms to himself. But all of the roofs up there, like the ceilings, are sloped and he has back problems. Which is really bad. So he has to crouch, like, he literally crouch walks. Call him Link from the Faces of Evil, because it's really funny to watch him do a duck walk, because that's his life now. The only 3 anime I know is Phoenix Wright, JoJo, and Sword Art Online. Just, you know, that's all you need, really. I don't watch anime. That's okay. You don't have to watch anime. Don't be a weeb. You'll save way more money. Because if you become a weeb, you're going to want to buy weeb figures, probably. And you're going to say to yourself, I'm only going to buy, like, 1 weeb figure, but then you're going to end up buying, like, 20, okay? Oh, my goodness. I was a sperm, and then I wasn't. That's true. Everyone's been a sperm at least once in their life. What's happened to this stream? I thought we were talking about video games. This happens every fucking discussion stream. And still, I have fucking Doshin the Giant on my goddamn screen. Look at this disgusting animal. Look at him. What even is this? What is this man? No, I don't want a video. What is this? Doshin the Giant full soundtrack. What the fuck? It's 41 minutes long? Hold on. Hold on. Where are my headphones? We're gonna listen to Doshin the Giant. And then we're gonna end the stream. What the fuck is... What even is this? Oh, God. Ew. This is bad. I can't tell if this one... It's like they're just randomly bopping a piece of wood while also shaking a pepper shaker. I kind of like it. If I was waddling around as this big boy, I'd probably enjoy this one. Oh, it's done. Okay. Okay, water sounds. That's good. Water is always good. Come on. Come on. Prehistoric ambience. I think that's what it's supposed to be, yeah. It's not that bad. Oh. Guys, are you dropping pipes in the recording studio? It's not bad, but it's also not great. Ooh. Ooh, why is it screaming? Doshin the Giant is fucking weird, dude. On that, I will read this last comment, if only because it mentions a game that I enjoy. And then we will end the stream. Dinkleturd says, I always wanted to play Paper Mario 64. Up until a year or 2 ago, I was able to get a job. It was legit the only thing I played for weeks. That's good. I remember playing Mario 64 when I was a kid. And it was a great time. I never got past the turtles. The Turtle Gang boss. I was never able to do it because I was like 8 and too stupid to figure out what, how to beat them. But I legit love that game. I actually Google search at least once a month, when are they going to fucking bring Paper Mario, even if it's just the first one or the Thousand Year Door, which is what I'm hoping out. I'm holding out hope for. I want them to bring it to the Switch so that way I can play them on the go. Because I don't want to have to buy a fucking, modded GameCube portable. Though I wish I had one, that'd be pretty lit. So with that, we'll end the stream. I hope you guys had a good time. I will be doing more streams today. Probably in about an hour, we'll be doing a Let's Read. I'm not sure what I will be reading. I'll either ask you guys in the chat on my Discord what you guys want to hear, or I might just pull in something a little special. A little bit of a special choice today. So I'll see you guys on the next stream. You have a great rest of your day.